At Winnow, we develop artificial intelligence tools to help chefs run more profitable and sustainable kitchens by cutting food waste in half. Chefs around the world are saving, using our technology, 36 million meals every year from the trash environment. So it's a massive problem for the environment, but it's also a massive commercial opportunity. I would just encourage everybody to celebrate the food that we have, to respect it, and to be asking those around us to do the same. And if we do that, then we have a really good chance of reaching a place where we no longer waste food and we can look forward to a much more sustainable and hopeful future.
皆様ごきげんよう、高松菜奈です。本日私はイギリスのロンドンにありますWinnowという会社に来ました。Winnowはですね、なんと飲食店の食品廃棄率の量を 50% 削減する、そういうシステムを作った会社です。これからですね、取材しに行ってまいりたいと思います。
My name is David. I'm the marketing director and public affairs here at Winnow. At Winnow, we develop artificial intelligence tools to help chefs run more profitable and sustainable kitchens by cutting food waste in half. And the problem that we solve is that it's really difficult to measure food waste. Chefs are using sometimes pen and paper or putting data into spreadsheets, and it just takes too much time. It's really busy. So our job is to make it really easy for chefs to measure food waste, and we do that with a combination of hardware and software. So if I can show you. So our system is designed to go into the kitchen. So you have a terminal here. It has a touch screen, and if you can see underneath, we have a light.
Oh, light.
Yes. And we have a camera.
Camera.
And the camera is looking down at the bin. Underneath the bin, you can see here, we have a digital scale.
Wow.
So the scale is taking a constant weight reading of all of the food that's being thrown away. So when a user wants to throw something away, they'll throw food into the bin in the usual way, and the scale will register a change in weight. And it will activate the camera. The camera will take pictures of the food that's just been thrown away. And then within this device, effectively is a supercomputer. And we're teaching this machine to see and to recognize the food that's being thrown away. So in real time, the artificial intelligence that's inside the machine will recognize the food that's thrown away. We then categorize that transaction, and we put that into the cloud. We harvest those transactions over the course of service, and then we provide a report to the team. And with that report, the team can understand where they're wasting food, where they can make improvements, and with that insight, we typically find that you can cut food waste in half within about 12 to 24 months. We have here some mushrooms. So we have some mushrooms. These are not real mushrooms. These are fake. So the chef is going to throw them into the bin. And you can see on the screen, the scale is registered to change in weight. So let's say these mushrooms are from breakfast. So we're going to hit breakfast. And in real time, the AI is saying, we think it's one of these items. And you can see here, it's correctly identified that it's mushrooms. We have a picture that's taken here, and I'm going to select mushrooms. And then what the system does is it calculates in real time the weight and the value of the food that was just thrown away. I then hit done, and that is then recorded in the cloud. Over the course of service, the teams will use the system to record everything that's thrown away, and the next morning they'll get a report that details exactly what food they wasted and where they can make improvements to cut that food waste in the following service.
ということで、私もシェフになったとしてデモンストレーションやってみたいと思います。で、これをまず捨てるということで、
So maybe choose this one.
これを押しまして、わお！昔がやったアップルが表示されました。グリーンアップル。で、これは 0.1kg で値段にすると 0.3 ドルポンドだそうです。で、わお。で、これがアマウントが 2.48kg で 4.63 ポンドということですね。この 90% って何ですかね。
This means that from everything that has been thrown away, 90% has been given a value. Okay, so what it means is the data is accurate. You can trust the data because almost all of it has been given a value.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So at Winnow, we develop artificial intelligence tools to help chefs in large kitchens like hotels, staff restaurants, universities, casinos and cruise ships to run more profitable and sustainable kitchens by cutting food waste in half. We were launched in London in 2013. Fast forward to today in 2022, Winnow is live in over 45 countries in over 1,500 locations. We work with the likes of IKEA, Compass Group, Hilton and many others. Chefs around the world are saving, using our technology, 36 million meals every year from the trash. In environmental terms, that's the equivalent of 61,000 tonnes of CO2 that have been prevented from being wasted. And that's because food waste has a massive impact when it comes to climate change. Somewhere between 8 and 10% of global greenhouse gases come from food waste, and a big portion of those come from our restaurants, our hotels, and when we eat out of home. So it's really important that we solve this problem, but we're really excited because we have a solution that we know works. So food waste is an age-old problem for the hospitality sector. Somewhere between 5 and 15% of the food that's purchased, according to our data collected in over 1,000 kitchens, is going to end up in the bin. That's not because chefs are bad at their job or they want to throw food away. Often we're making our chefs make really complicated forecasting decisions in really stressful environments with imperfect information. And so all that we're trying to do is give better information so that teams can make better decisions and reduce waste. The way that we do that is by combining hardware and software to make it really easy to measure food waste in the kitchen. And that's what we at Winnow do every day. That's why we love coming to work here, and we're having a massive impact on a global level. So food waste is a truly global problem. We all consume food, we all eat out in restaurants and go and stay in hotels. And globally, we estimate that around $100 billion worth of food is wasted just in our restaurants, in our hotels, in our out-of-home environment. So it's a massive problem for the environment, but it's also a massive commercial opportunity. So we were launched as a business because we wanted to scale a technology, and we wanted to do that quickly. And the founders of Winnow believe that creating a commercial proposition which delivers value to customers, to investors, and also to employees is the best way to find a sustainable solution to a big problem like food waste. Introducing a new technology in any field is a challenge. Chefs tend to be a traditional bunch, and they, I've got a specific set of skills, and it can be a challenge to try and introduce a new technology into that environment. Now, we've been working with chefs since when I was launched in 2013. We believe they're the real heroes of this story because they're using a tool, but it's ultimately them and their teams that are driving the impact. So in terms of the obstacles that we faced marketing our technology, what we've learned is that we need to give our users and our customers a platform to talk about their successes. And in doing so, we validate the technology and its benefits, and hopefully we capture the imagination of the global chef community. After the global pandemic, we've all experienced what happens if the world stops. And we know that returning to the way we used to do business and the way that we used to live in an unsustainable way isn't possible. We need to create a more sustainable future. We need to rapidly decarbonize our economies, and we need to create more sustainable business models. And I think from an investor perspective, from a consumer perspective, but also from an operational perspective, our customers are telling us that food waste is one of the most important issues within their businesses, and we're working as hard as we can to make our solution fit for every kitchen, so that we can see massive reductions in food waste that both does the right thing for the planet, but also for the profitability of these businesses at a really challenging time for the industry. After some initial perhaps suspicion or skepticism, what is this shiny box that you're bringing into our kitchen? The reception from our customers has been overwhelmingly positive. Our users tell us that Winnow is faster and easier to use when it comes to measuring food waste than old methods like using pen and paper, or manually entering data into spreadsheets, or weighing buckets of food waste at the end of every service, which is not only time consuming but very inaccurate as well. Our users tell us that by being able to pinpoint exactly where food waste occurs within their operations, that they're able to make operational improvements that add up to big savings. So we'd expect a kitchen to be able to cut their food waste in half within about a year of using Winnow, but also that gives them insights in terms of what they're throwing away. And what we love to see is where our technology provides a spark of creativity for chefs, where they use an insight in terms of a piece of produce that could have been used, and then they create a beautiful dish from that item. So the feedback's been fantastic. We're working with thousands of chefs all over the world, and we look forward to scaling up our impact as we build our business. It's a very difficult time for the hospitality sector right now. We're seeing massive food price inflation because of the pandemic and also the war in Ukraine. We're seeing labour shortages across the board, and we're seeing consumers who are being squeezed by inflation and cost of living pressures. And so it's a really challenging time for all hospitality operators at the moment. They're being squeezed from all sides. What we would say is there's never been a more important time to minimise wastage in the kitchen. Given all of those pressures and pressures on margins, we need to make sure that when we do purchase produce, that produce is used, that it gets to the customer, and that it's driving real value rather than ending up in the bin. So we would love to see a world with no food waste. The reality is that if we're to create that world, we need good data. There's an old saying, if you don't measure it, you can't manage it, and that's really true when it comes to food waste. So our business model is based on constant measurement within the kitchen. And part of the reason for that is you may have 100% staff turnover within a kitchen, which tends to be quite transient places of work. When people move on and new people come into that kitchen, we need to make sure that they're still measuring food waste and we don't lose the benefits to Winnow that they have generated through reducing waste with our program. So our model is based on our system being installed and then permanently kept within a kitchen. The good thing for the business though is that we typically expect to see food cost savings of between 3 to 8% of food purchasing costs for a business using us, and that's savings every year. In terms of the return on investment with our fees, somewhere between 2 and 10 times the savings versus our fees is what we'd expect a business to see. So it's a really good proposition for businesses, and it's a really good proposition for the environment as well. It's a really good thing that there's a number of different solutions to food waste. It means that the market is maturing and that the hospitality sector recognises that there's a problem but also an opportunity to be realised. Winnow differentiates itself in a number of different ways. Our AI technology is world leading. We've trained our computer vision model to be able to identify more than 600 different types of food, and that our users tell us that that saves them time and gives them more accurate data. We've also got a world-leading support program. We deliver our reduction programs in over 20 languages. We have offices in Singapore, in Dubai, in Chicago, in London, and a developer office in Romania. So we're a truly global organization. And as we think about some of the global businesses that have massive food service operations around the world, we would say that we're best placed to help them solve that problem really at scale. So we're working with a number of hotels and other food service businesses across Japan, and the reaction has been fantastic. Japan is famous for creation and adoption of cutting-edge technology, and putting our computer vision technology into kitchens has had a really good response. One example is Hilton Tokyo Bay, where in a matter of weeks the team were able to cut food waste by 30%. To put that into kind of equivalent that we might understand, that's about 17,000 meals or 3.3 million yen. So that's a massive achievement for a team, just using our system for a small amount of time. And we think that their great example is the sign of things to come. So we're really excited about the opportunities as we think about scaling up our technology across Japan. Winnow is privileged to work with chefs in over 45 countries, and all countries share common characteristics when it comes to their approach to food, but obviously there are subtle differences as well. A couple of examples, in India, where we have a presence, the culture is around connecting to communities, and many people will have direct connections to people who are hungry, or our users in Nordic countries have a much more heightened awareness of environmental and sustainability issues. And I think in the UK it's a number of those things as well, but there's a real zeitgeist around the culture that British chefs create, and more those chefs are becoming aware and becoming advocates for sustainable cooking, for making sure that we treat our produce with respect, and obviously making sure that we don't waste it as well. All consumers want the businesses that they buy from to become more sustainable. There's a large body of evidence that's showing that a majority now will move brands and even boycott brands for unsustainable behaviour. So when we convey to customers that the businesses we're working with are taking steps to put in place cutting-edge technology to reduce food waste in their kitchens, the reaction is overwhelmingly positive. One of the other things we're doing with customers is helping them to make more sustainable decisions by cutting plate waste, so the waste that comes back after a plate has been served. And we launched a product last year called Winnow Sense, which measures post-consumer food waste. And so using technology but also behavioural science, we partnered with the London School of Economics to introduce a pilot programme, and we were able to reduce plate waste by 35% using this combination of digital technology and behavioural science and communications. And so I think there's more that we can do there. We're excited to scale up Winnow Sense and are looking at them bringing that technology and that product to kitchens all over the world. But overwhelmingly, nobody wants to waste food. Everybody respects businesses which are taking the right steps, and we would love to see more and more of those stories told as we scale up our business. So when Winnow was developed, there was a simple thesis, which is that if you make food waste easy to measure, that teams will be better able to manage it. So our first minimum viable product, our test product, was a fairly simple set of scales and almost a kind of tablet and iPad with a simple system that allowed users to record the food that was being thrown away. And it's nowhere near as sophisticated and advanced as the technology that we have today. The analytics was done manually. So although our technology has come a long way since 2013 when Winnow was launched, that central premise is still the same. And we always ask ourselves, how do we make a chef's life easier? And if we can make a chef's life easier and give them great insight in terms of what's happening in their kitchen, we know that we can drive further improvements and that we can have better scale and really solve this problem on a global level. We would say that solving the problem of food waste is one of the most important things that as a global society we need to do. We need to do it from a climate change perspective where up to 10% of greenhouse gases are emitted because of food waste. We need to do it from a moral standpoint where almost 1 billion people worldwide face hunger every day. And we need to do it because it's inherent within all of us as human beings to not waste the precious food that we grow. And so whether it's in our businesses, whether it's in our homes, and whether it's in other areas of our lives, I would just encourage everybody to celebrate the food that we have, to respect it, and to be asking those around us to do the same. And if we do that, then we have a really good chance of reaching a place where we no longer waste food, and we can look forward to a much more sustainable and hopeful future.
最後までご覧いただきありがとうございました。ぜひチャンネル登録、高評価お願いいたします。それではまたごきげんよう。